Good afternoon. Bear with us just one moment. We will be right with you. Presenters here, and we're logging her in now. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, well, you can edit the screen, too, right? The one signed in. So this is the screen you're using. Yeah, cause my yeah okay. Entonces this.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nancy Quiroz Gomez, and I am covering today for my director, Sandra Arevalo. We have a very great, very interesting presentation on keeping kids safe around water for the summer. I'd like to introduce to you one of our amazing trauma nurses. She's director of our trauma nursing department. Her name is Liliana Delgado, and I'll hand over the floor. Thank you, Liliana, for joining us today. The floor is
Oh,
yours.
perfect. Thank you, Nancy. Hi, everyone, and good afternoon. As Nancy said, my name is Liliana, and I am the Trauma Program Director here at Montefiore NIAG. And I have prepared a presentation just in time for the summer, and it's for water safety and how to keep our kids safe around water. If there is one message I want you all to take away from this presentation today is drowning is fast, it is silent, and it is preventable. So on purpose, you will hear me repeat these words throughout the presentation. I want to be as repetitive as possible because I want you to remember that drowning is fast, silent, and preventable. That being said, we will start with CDC drowning statistics as of January 2026. So, the number one leading cause of death for children ages 1 to 4 is drowning. And in that age group, specifically in pools, children are at higher risk for drowning in pools. Now, for the ages of 5 to 14, the second leading cause of death is drowning. Incidentally, the leading cause, number one cause of death for these children between 5 and 14 is motor vehicle accidents, but that's a whole separate chat. And then every year there are over 4,000 drownings in the United States. One thing about the ages of 5 to 14, those drownings usually happen in oceans, lakes, and rivers. Compared to the toddlers 1 to 4, those mostly happen in pools. And we'll get into that more as we go in the presentation. So, what does drowning really look like? There is no yelling for help, there's no splashing or waving, and it can happen in less than 1 minute. And that is the number one key takeaway from this entire presentation is that it can happen in less than 1 minute. If you're ever around a large body of water and there are children around and your baby is missing or your child is missing or some child is missing, please, please, please look at the water first. Again, it is silent and they just disappear out of nowhere. You can blink of an eye and they're gone. And if there's a body of water and they happen to go in that water, please, please, please check the water first because that is the most dangerous place where they can be found. I wanted to put this image about drowning movies versus reality because we've all watched those movies where there are drownings and the child gets saved or not. But either way, in the movie, they usually show like a loud splashing, there's a lot of yelling, and then there's like a prolonged struggle. What actually happens in real life is very silent. The water is still. And if there is visible distress, it's about 2 to 3 seconds of distress. And then they just kind of like sink in the water. So I want you all to remember that movies and reality is very different. And the way the movies portray drownings is very different from what actually happens. So, again, silence, still water. If there's any distress, it would be 2 to 3 seconds. So, paying attention to the water is really the one thing that keeps them safe. So, drowning can happen anywhere. Um, Pools, lakes, rivers, beaches, bathtubs, kiddie pools, and buckets. Any amount of water can be a dangerous situation for a young child. It only takes 1 to 2 inches of water to have a risk of drowning for an infant or a child or a toddler. When you go to the beach, pay attention to the water condition flags. I know we don't live in an area where there's a beach right around the corner. We usually have to drive 2+ hours, sometimes even 3, to get to a beach. And, we're ready for the beach day and we're all packed up and ready to go. We get there, we see the red flag. It's like a bummer for the day, but pay attention to it. If they say don't go in the water, do not go in the water. There is a very specific reason for that. We'll get into that later. If you do go to the beach and there's a lifeguard, please sit near the lifeguard. That's a safer area to sit near. So at least, you know where to go if you need help. As far as like the lakes and the rivers and things like that, teens jumping in, they can hit something and become unconscious. I watched a lot of videos for this presentation to try to find one to kind of get my message across. And there was a lot of very, very tragic, sad stories, all age groups. I must have watched at least 50 videos in like the span of a half a day of work. And I was crying most of the time because it's just very sad to lose a child. And then to think that you could have had done something to prevent it. But then again, you can have all the measures in place and it can still happen. So accidents do happen. But one of the ones that I saw was a 14-year-old boy that went with a group of friends and adults, and they allowed him to go into the water as we all would. And, they're all playing and having a good time. And he went on a cliff, which was not even that high, and he was jumping off and all his friends were looking, and he jumped in. He didn't come up right away, so they're all thinking like, oh, he's just messing with us. Within 2 minutes they went in to check on him, and by that time he had drowned. So the key again is that it is very, very fast. So those kids were in there trying to help him, like I said, in less than 2 minutes, and he drowned by the time that they got there. So what happened was he hit a rock when he got in the pool, when he jumped in the river, and became unconscious and could not help himself. And unfortunately, his friends couldn't save him either. But again, it happens very, very fast. If you have a kiddie pool that you play with in your backyard, once you're done playing, please empty those out. Again, 1 to 2 inches of water is all that they need to drown. And it can happen in the blink of an eye. The baby can run back while you're taking stuff inside, and next thing you know, you come out and he's submerged in the water, or she. Same thing with the buckets. The buckets are a danger because kids are kids. They're going to throw their toys everywhere. It's going to fall in the bucket. They're going to try to reach for it. And then if they do make it in, getting them out quick would be best. But if you're not around for that 1 minute, it can be a very sad situation. So children most at risk for drowning: toddlers ages 1 to 4, children who cannot swim, any age, children with developmental disabilities, specifically autism. Autistic children are attracted to water because the way its sights, sounds, and tactile sensations provide calming sensory input for them. So they tend to gravitate towards the water. So that just increases their risk because they're just going to want to go to the water. And then teens participating in water sports, like I said before, they can easily hit something the wrong way and become unconscious and not be able to save themselves or get themselves out of the water. Active supervision is imperative. So us as parents, what we should do with our children and our neighbors' kids, any kid, stay within arm's reach of young children, put the phone away, avoid distractions, designate a water watcher, and water watcher tips: focus only on watching swimmers, rotate every 15 to 20 minutes. We in my family we have a big family. A lot of my cousins have pools, and they're constantly having pool parties. When I brought this to them, they all laughed at me and made fun of me, but they did take me seriously. And now we have a water watcher for every pool party list, and we have a schedule. So I'm usually in charge of the schedule and reminding people. And I bought it, but I haven't received it yet. This little image on the right that says eyes on the water, it's like a reminder. And I have like pool rules and then water watcher rules. This is part of it. So eyes on the water. So if you're the assigned water watcher, no phones, no distractions, only watch the water and know the signs of drowning, which, remember, I said is silent. So just know that if you see a child still in the water, they need help. And
Might
again,
I
you
ask a quick question?
sure.
This is Nancy. Sorry. Just a quick question. So, and you may already have this on your presentation, so my apologies, but is this also, would you also recommend like parents with children within that age group to be certified for BLS training, like basic life
Yep.
support in these situations? It may not be such a common conversation for parents to have, right? But
Yep.
I hear it coming, I hear it becoming more of a norm now with sports such as football, right? For parents to have that certification. So I would think it would be equally important for supervision of
100%.
children.
And it is at the end of the presentation. And if you have any
Okay.
resources, please jump in when I put that slide. I only
No
have
worries. Thank you.
of course. Yes, and then rotating someone every 15 to 20 minutes. I mean, time flies, but at the same time, when you're sitting there staring at the kids in the water, 15 minutes is a long time. So having a list of people that you can kind of assign and rotate through is really the key. So if you're the host, um, this is really for you. But if you attend a pool party, then you should also advocate for this to the homeowner, but also yourself. I mean, I don't have a pool in my house, but my cousins do. So I'm the one there, I'm the water watcher for the most part. And I do have my other cousins chip in, and we all kind of just do it together. But it's always important to talk about, go over the rules, and make sure that they understand it's really watching the water. And there are no signs, like I said. You see still water and some kind of a bathing suit, then you just jump in and get it. You don't think, you just jump in. Um, Home pool safety basics for the pool owners. This is for you. So four-sided fencing installation is huge. That will prevent the baby from going into the water when there's no pool party, right? So this is when you're home and you're just taking care of your kids and doing things. And there's always safety measures that we need to put in place to protect our children from the hazard, which is the pool. So self-closing, self-latching gates, pool alarms, that's that black and blue image I have there on the top. That's a pool alarm. So the way it works, you put it in the water. I think it's battery operated, and if it feels the water moving like waves, it'll sound a loud alarm. So if you have the gate, the child shouldn't be in there in the first place. But if they get in, which sometimes they can because they're just smart kids, and kids are kids, they will get in. If they jump in, then this pool alarm hopefully will make that loud sound, and you'll hear it, and you'll know that you have to run into the pool to get your baby. And then removing toys from the pool area. I know that it's annoying because it's a lot of cleanup and you're tired, but always keep your pool clean and clear of any toys. Kids were born to play and they never get tired. So the minute they wake up to the minute they go to sleep, they just want to play, play, play. So if they see a toy somewhere, they're going to gravitate towards that area. So if you have toys in the pool, always remember to take them out at the end of the day so that the child isn't inclined to jump in after the toy. And then securing the pool covers, that's the other one too. Even when it's not summertime and you have the pool covered because it's closed, kids are just kids. They're going to want to walk on top of that and be like, oh, look at me. That's very dangerous. I actually did see a case of an above ground pool where a little girl, I think she was like 5 or 6, and she went up the ladder and went on the pool cover and it wasn't secured properly, and she went in and it they couldn't find her for a long time. By the time they did, she had passed away. But that's what that is. So make sure that the pool is covered, and always teach your kids, like, that's something that you just don't do. Always think prevention. Always try to reduce the risk of drowning and removing any danger, such as toys from the pool. Removing the danger from the kid really to get into the pool. Um, Something we can do to help us reduce the risk of drowning is to put our kids in swim classes, right? So swim lessons save lives. They improve water competency, so it's a higher chance that the kid can survive a little longer, and maybe you will see a struggle, and hopefully you can get the baby out. You can start them, I think, at 4 months or something. And then it also builds confidence in children. And this I've seen firsthand. A lot of my cousins' kids have done swim lessons since they were babies, and they watch the younger kids, their younger siblings or cousins in the water, and they tend to be like, no, don't go in too deep, or they try to teach what they learn in the swim lesson. So, and then also confidence in themselves to be able to get in the water, and if they see someone struggling, to call for help right away or pull the kid back in themselves. Which again, I saw videos of this happening where a 12-year-old saved an adult. The adult had a medical event inside of the water. He became unresponsive, and the kid was able to pull the adult out of the water, and he actually started CPR, and the man survived. So it was a great story. But again, swim lessons. He was 12, but he didn't know how to swim, but he did have swim lessons in his childhood. And then it reduces the risk of drowning just by becoming more competent. So swimming lessons do not replace supervision. And I know a lot of us think, oh, he knows how to swim, he'll be fine. True, but they still need to be supervised. I was able to find these two resources for Rockland County, Aqua Swim in Nanuet, and then YMCA. I think they're in Nyack. There's their phone number and information. They said Aqua Swim sent me more information to forward to the group. So if anybody is interested in their information, can always email it. As long as you email me or email us, Sandra, and we can get this information out to you. But here's their phone numbers in case you want to take a picture of the slide and give them a call. Okay, so life jackets matter. Life jackets is something that we definitely take for granted. I know I did, but you need to have them on anytime you're around a child, or even us adults are around water. So if you're on a boat, at a lake, river, pool, beach, any type of open water activity, please have a life jacket on, and do not mistake inflatable pool toys as safety devices. Inflatable pool toys are, at the end of the day, toys. They're not meant to become a life jacket or a life preserver toy. It's a toy to play with. So always use the life jackets as a means to help us prevent children from drowning and to keep them safe. Now, the hidden dangers around water, and this is something that I learned recently. So, these are risks that we never think about. I know I never did. So, drain entrapment. Those single suction main drains are so dangerous because they have tremendous suction, and they will grab onto something and not let go. And as you can see, they're usually at the bottom of the pool. And you know how we are. I know me for sure growing up, I went to this public school pool here in Rockland County. And we always played the game where you throw something and it goes all the way to the bottom and then you get it. How many times didn't this thing, ball or whatever toy, go next to that drain? And I have long hair. My hair could have easily been gotten stuck in the single suction main drains. There are some federal regulations regarding this for public and commercial pools that have a single drain. They're required by law to have a compliant anti-entrapment cover and a backup safety system to prevent suction entrapment. But again, those things can fail. And they're just dangerous. So I think the key with that is to teach your children, if they just teach them anything white or anything on the bottom of the pool, don't go near it, don't touch it. Again, I saw multiple stories in my research for this presentation and videos of things that have happened. And one was really sad. One, a baby boy was, playing in the water and his hand got stuck in the drain. It wasn't this kind of drain. It was the one that was on the side. But it was a single suction. It wasn't more than one. If there's more than one suction drain, the pull is not that much, but in that particular pool, there was one and it was on the side, wasn't on the bottom. His hand got stuck in there and they couldn't get the baby out. So by the time they went into the house, shut down the power of the house and came back, he had drowned, and there was nothing that they could have done differently to prevent that from happening. So he was being supervised. All the things were in place, and it still happened. So again, like I said, it happens very fast, and you just have to, in this case, just teach your kids, don't go near anything on the wall or on the floor of the water, out of the pool. And if it has suction, stay away from it. Rip currents are super dangerous. That's why I say pay attention to those water flags at the beach. If it's red, it means do not go into the water. And we have never won a war or a fight against Mother Nature. And the beach wave is Mother Nature. And so as you can see in the image there, the incoming waves, and then there's that rip current that pulls you back. And there's nothing, if a child, you can run after them, swim to them, and hopefully you can get them and it won't lead into anything tragic, but it's very dangerous. So if it says stay out of the water, this is why, and stay out of the water. Take those very seriously. Alcohol around water, pool parties with many adults. This is a risk just because we all think somebody else is watching the water. And so that's why having the water watcher is very important. And we all know when you drink alcohol, your inhibitions get decreased. So if a kid asks you, can I go in the water, and you're completely sober, you may say, no, wait for me. But if you're drinking, you might be like, yeah, you know what, it's fine, go for it. So that just increases the risk. Um, and then fatigue after swimming. This is something that we pick up in the kids. They never get tired. I know when we went to the pool as a kid, we never got tired. We can be wrinkly fingered, blue lips, and no, I'm not tired. I'm fine. And the water is very draining and very tiring. So the chances of them being able to fend for themselves in the water decreases. So it's important for us as parents to remind them like they need to take breaks. And they're not gonna want to, they're gonna hate it, they're gonna cry about it, but we need to, as adults, we're the grown-ups, and we need to tell them you need to take a break and make sure they take the break. And then, once they kind of relax and they can breathe normally again, all right, you can go back in. So that helps us keep them safe in the water too. I already touched on this before, but water safety during gatherings. The problem is we all think someone else is watching. Right? That is the problem, and we all think it. I know I always do. Until recently when I instituted my water watcher schedule. But the solution, assign a water watcher and use something to identify them, whether it's a lanyard, a wrist badge, a vest. These are things that you can buy on Amazon or whatever website. Um, or you can just make it. If you're crafty, you can just make it. I know for me, I'm just a festive, obnoxious person. So depending on the event that we have, whether it's a birthday or um, a graduation, last weekend we had a graduation pool party. This Friday we're having a birthday party. I'm bringing a super obnoxious birthday hat, and the water washer is going to wear that. Sometimes if I can get a light up one, it's even better. But that's just so nobody's confused, and we all know that one person, that's their job for the next 15, 20 minutes. And then when they're done, they kind of pass it on to the next person. And we go over the rules, and we stick to them. We really do. And I kind of just watch everybody. So when it's somebody else's turn, I watch them and say, are you? Make sure you're watching the swimmers. Don't just watch the water, but you're watching the kids, right? And again, it's silence. So knowing the signs and who's in trouble, the only way you're going to know is if you're watching that swimmer in particular, right? And you just keep watching everyone, keep an eye at all. Um, so no single safety measure is enough. The key is layers of protection. So number one, constant and close adult supervision, barriers and fencing for the backyard pools, swim lessons if you can do that for your baby, and then life jackets. Always have the correct life jacket, the correct size for your kid. And I can't stress enough the water watcher, if it's a party or a gathering, and supervision is number one. Don't let those kids out of your sight, which is very hard because they like to go everywhere very fast. Have an emergency response system in place. So if you see a child in trouble, the first thing you're going to do is get them out of the water. Then you're going to tell somebody to call 911. If you're by yourself, you have to call, but tell somebody to call 911 and then start CPR if needed. And then continue until help arrives. I mean, we've all seen CPR in movies and in TV, and actually, that 12-year-old that saved the adult, he didn't know how to do CPR. He didn't have a formal training, but he was watching that very popular show that we all watched with our kids, Stranger Things, and in one of the episodes, somebody did CPR on somebody, and the 12-year-old did what he did on that show, and it helped save the guy's life that he was in the pool with. So CPR training is very important. And the next, oh, and then remember, time matters with this. So even though you don't know how to do CPR, you think you may, like from watching it like this, chest compressions is what's going to save that brain and that person faster. So I know there's a method to the madness, right? So if it's an infant, you're going to use two fingers. If it's a child, as an adult, you would use one hand. If it's an adult, you use two hands. The amount of pressure and all of that, this is why the CPR training is important, because it teaches you all of those things. And then you become comfortable and competent in doing it. So that being said, yes, learning CPR is huge. It can double or triple the chances of survival. There are local classes available. If you go to redcross.org, I showed you a screenshot of what it looks like. You put your location, choose a class. It would be CPR training, and then all formats. That means that they have live in-person sessions, but they also have online versions. And I think the online versions, you complete the online version, it's almost like a slide, like a show, like this, somebody explaining everything to you and how to do everything, but then you have to go in person and show that you can do it to be certified. So it's a two-part class, I believe. But for us, just go to redcross.org and then put your information in. And they're fairly affordable. I didn't go as far as checking how much they cost, but I think it's less than like $50 or $40. Us as medical professionals, we're trained by the hospital, and it's mandatory for us. But for the general public, you can just go on this website, choose your location, find the class, and sign up for it. And then again, grandparents and caregivers should all learn. It's not just the homeowner, it's, grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, cousin, anybody and everyone that's willing to take CPR class should. And not just for pool safety, right? This can be, and not just for your family, you're doing it for a public service. So if you're ever at a local pool, you can help out the first responders, or if there's no lifeguard on duty or the lifeguard needs help, they have a backup. So learning CPR is important. So I would highly recommend that you become certified in CPR. Water safety checklist. So this is for us to kind of get it ingrained in our head. So constant observation, number one. Swim lessons, if you're able to sign up your kid for swim lessons, great. Proper life jackets. With all these websites and buying things online, you have to be very weary of what you get when you get it. I know the price is very tempting because they're usually cheaper, but always make sure whatever life jacket you buy online or in a store, make sure that there's a tag on there somewhere that says U.S. Coast Guard approved. Those are the correct um, fitting and proper mechanism of keeping the child above water. So make sure you get the right size, make sure it says U.S. Coast Guard approved, and that it fits well and comfortable, and you use it correctly every time. Because if you look at the one on the right, the red, white, and blue, 0 to 30 pounds. Sometimes our baby is 35 pounds, and they should be wearing the different life jacket. But if you still have this one, that bottom strap is the one that we normally do not put on the kid if they don't fit in it. So I would say just don't use it at all. But if you have to, because I know we do that sometimes, make sure you can buckle that. If you can't buckle that bottom strap, then it becomes a dangerous life jacket because it keeps the jacket above the water, and then it strains the baby's neck and they can get stuck in it, or something tragic can happen and it'll be a worse situation. So always follow the guidelines on the life jacket and make sure it's the appropriate size for the baby. And then, so pool barriers, again, to prevent the kid from going into the pool area, into the pool, and learning CPR, and then emergency plan. That's basically learning CPR, knowing what to do if it happens. Pull the kid out, start CPR if you can, call 911. That's always going to be the plan. I found this safer summer checklist online from Aquatat's swim school, somewhere in the country. I don't know where they actually are, but I think it's a very nice put together list that we can all learn from. So it breaks it down by outside the home, inside the home, and then safety. So for supervision, water watcher is important. We talked about all of these pretty much already, but outside the home, supervision, have a water watcher, stay within arm's reach of a child, put away distractions. This is for the water watcher. And then pool rules, always go over them together with the visitors and the people that you have at the pool, with the children in particular. Always tell your children, do not go into the water without me. Or without asking permission. And if there is a pool full of children and there's one adult in there and they're inside and there's still a water watcher, if that adult gets out, everybody has to get out. If you make that rule, they will follow it. For pool toys, remember that floaties and pool noodles and tubes are toys. They're not safety devices. When you're done playing at the end of the day, take all of those out so the kid doesn't feel inclined to go into the water. And then the Coast Guard approved life jacket. Anytime you're in open water, you must be wearing one. For pool maintenance, the anti-entrapment covers so that the kid doesn't get stuck. Fix any hazards like loose tools, screws, or sharp edges. Outside barriers, install the fence, the four-sided fence. Make sure that the pool gates are self-closing and locked and out of reach of children. And then set the pool gate alarm to sound indoors, and then remove items children could use to climb over barriers. So that's mostly for the above ground waters, taking away that ladder so that they can't climb into the pool when nobody is watching. Inside the home, you're going to install those child locks and alarms on all the doors leading to the outside of the house, including the pet doors, when not supervising, of course. Remove standing water from buckets, sinks, pet bowls, but the kiddie pools and the buckets outside. Bathrooms, this is for inside the home safety. Close the doors and toilet lids because, again, we've heard stories of the children dropping something in the toilet and going to reach for it, and then drowning in the toilet. And then stay within arm's reach during bath time. Never leave the child alone. That is huge. It's very tempting to run real quick and do something. Do not. You're in bath time. It's dedicated bath time. And then always drain the bathtub immediately after use. For safety essentials and emergency readiness, learning CPR, practice it regularly, talk about it with the family members, your friends, your family gatherings, talk about CPR and getting certified. Keep a phone. I mean, we always have our phone around us, right? Stock a first aid kit and keep within reach. Plan and rehearse family's emergency steps with your family. And then for swim lessons, you can start early. Like I said, you can start at 4 months. Stay consistent with it because that's what builds the skills and the confidence, and complete a trusted program. So the YMCA program and the Aqua Swim are trusted programs, as they would say. And so, as I said, I was looking for a video to kind of hone the message in, and I found this one. It's a 50-second clip, but just look how things can happen so quickly. And we can all relate to it because we've all have been there. Work here. So again, that video. Can you see my screen still? Yes.
Yes, yes, we can still see your screen. Sorry, if anyone has any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I forgot to mention that, okay? Thank you. Yes, I can
Thank
still see your screen. All good.
Perfect. So it was very quick video, but look how fast things happen. That little boy, if he's my baby, I'm like, oh yeah, I saw him running inside. And little did I know, he turned right back around to get that little toy by the water, and then it fell in the water and he jumped in after it. That was a 50-second clip. That's how fast these things can happen. So again, like I said before, key takeaways from this entire presentation: drowning is silent. It happens quickly. It is often preventable. Accidents do happen, even with all the safety measures in place. Supervision is the most important protection, and every parent and caregiver can save a life. There has not been one instance where someone is drowning and people care about what they're doing as opposed to jumping into that water and saving that kid. One of the videos that I saw was exactly that. There was a landscaper cutting the grass or something, and he happened to notice a toddler run into the water and just, jumped right in, as they do, without even thinking. And luckily, the landscaper was there and he dropped everything and he just went in the water, and save the baby. So that's what that means. Every parent and caregiver can save a life. And learning CPR is probably the most helpful thing other than taking the kid out of the water. So the goal isn't to make children afraid of water, it's to help them enjoy it safely. So all these things that I spoke about are things that we can talk to our children about as they get older, teaching them about paying attention, like have a buddy system, for example, like make sure that you pay attention to your sister or your cousin or this one or that one, and pair them up so that they're always mindful about each other. And then adult supervision is huge. Telling the kids, never go in the water without telling me. Always ask permission. What else can you say? Make sure you have your life jacket on before you go into the water. And if you feel tired, which we all know they never do. But if you feel tired, take a break. So yeah, so water safety is very important now in the summer that we are all at pool parties, which I'm sure a lot of us want to be in one right now, because it is extremely hot right now. But you're here learning about how to keep our children safe when we are playing in the water. So that's it. Thank you for listening and logging on. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer.
I do have one question. What
Yes.
happens if, let's say, um, I noticed my child went in the water, perform, I guess, life rescuing measures, and then my child starts breathing again, whatnot. What symptoms should I be looking for after I rescue the child, let's say?
I'm so happy you brought that up because I completely forgot to mention it. So, as trauma program director, any kid or adult that comes in with a complaint, let's say, of near drowning. So in other words, they were in the water all day and then they don't stop coughing the rest of the day, and you knew that they swallowed a lot of water because a lot of kids do that. Coughing is the biggest. It's called dry drowning, I think, is the word that we're using now. There's another word, but near drowning, dry drowning, coughing. It is the number one sign that there could potentially be an issue later. So if you're in your pool and playing all day and you notice that your baby is coughing the rest of that day and that night, bring them to the hospital. They can develop laryngeal spasms, so they can start spasming within their lungs and their bronchioles and right here in their throat and eventually stop breathing. So if you do have a baby that you notice after a long swim day, and you may not even know that they had that experience where they swallow all the water. I mean, usually do, but if you don't, if you notice that the baby is, or the child, adult, whoever is coughing afterwards, you have to bring them in and they don't stop coughing. So it's not like a continuous cough. So it's like you notice that they're like now and then throughout the day it kind of gets worse and they keep doing it. I would definitely bring them into the emergency room so they can check out the lungs and observe them. We need to monitor their oxygen and make sure that their lungs are functioning properly. So yes, amazing question. Thank you for asking. Dry drowning is a thing, and coughing is the number one sign. And they will not, quote unquote, dry drown without coughing. I'm
Okay.
saying that to say if they're coughing, bring them in.
But what other symptoms can come along with that besides coughing? Like, what if I'm just thinking outside the box here because I don't
Vomiting,
recall. Yeah,
uh,
vomiting, right?
vomiting. They are unusually tired. So we all know after a long pool day, we're gonna be tired. But when you know your kid, so you're like, oh man, he must be exhausted from the pool. But to the point where they can't even stay awake, um, as they normally would after being in the pool all day. So being lethargic, but then they're gonna have the coughing also. That's what coughing is, the sign that will not bypass. So they won't necessarily have the blue lips or be lethargic or more tired than usual or be vomiting, but they are always going to cough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's the coughing should make you like kind of like, oh, that's kind of weird. And then if you start to notice that they feel nauseous or they don't want to eat, or oh, my tummy hurts, or they start vomiting, or they're more tired than usual, where you can't wake them up, is what I'm saying, then they're going to have the coughing, then you should definitely be concerned and bring them in for sure.
Thank you. Thank you
Of
so much
course.
for that. What about these floaty devices? I mean, I've wanted to ask is it always just the best option to have your children, even if they know how to swim, to wear floaty devices or floating devices?
I would, yes. I mean, if you're in a pool and you have a water watcher and you have, like, say, the age where they can touch the ground and be above the water, then am I gonna make my son wear his safety? No. But if you have like it's so I think the age, I think because the risk is so high between 1 and 4, you're always absolutely no matter what gonna have that safety device on, even if it's a kiddie pool. The older they get, they're more trustworthy. And not only that, but they should know how to swim. If they don't know how to swim, I would put it on,
Okay.
no matter what age.
I thank you so much. I don't see anyone having any additional questions. But I want to thank you so much, Liliana, for taking the time to educate us all on the importance of water safety, especially a day like today where we're expected to have over 100-degree temperatures, I know most family members want to be out and about in the pool and the water staying as cool as possible. So
Yep.
thank you so much for providing us with your knowledge. Truly appreciate you and all you do for the community of Rockland County. So thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity and thank you all for joining.
Thank you. And I just
Be
want to
cool.
remind everyone, every Thursday we have our community chats. Next week, July 9th, we have powerful reasons to shop at a farmer's market. And the week after that, July 16th, small drops, big impact, the power of breast milk. Please look out for our emails with the QR code to join our upcoming community chats. If not, please feel free to look at our Montefiore Nyack community chats website for other upcoming opportunities for you to join us either as speakers if you're interested, but also as our guests. Um, thank you again, Liviana, and everyone have a wonderful and safe summer.
Thank you.